I think much of what I'm going to say here could sound exceptionally contradictory. If I do it right, hopefully ones will get my meaning. But I think whenever you talk about principles in trading, there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of things that can seem somewhat contradictory. So hopefully I can get through this whole thing and I'm as clear as mud. Well, let's rephrase that. Hopefully I'm more clear than mud. Regardless, listen, I love low effort approaches to trading. A currency trader that I knew years ago talked about ROE, right? And he wasn't talking about return on equity. He was talking about return on effort. And I like that, return on effort. I get it. Okay, I understand. I understand wanting to do as little as possible. I sort of built a lot of the way I approach things about being a low effort kind of guy. I mean, I have got a lot of things going on in my life. Okay, so when it comes to trading, I have very specific approaches. At GTC Traders, we like to stress being multi-strat, but each one of those strategies is very, very low effort. At the same time, getting back to sort of what we were saying, that things are going to sound contradictory, trading's work. And I hate to be brutally honest with you, and this isn't like the popular message that people want to hear. Oh, wow, let's subscribe to this guy by the millions because, you know, he's telling us what we want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear. Most people are not going to make it. If you are just starting out trading, the odds are against you, and very likely you're not going to make it. There is no, in the way that new folks think about it, there is no such thing as low effort trading. There's just not. And by that, I mean, see, you got to understand, like, I'm approaching it, I've been trading almost 30 years now. And I'm looking at trading sort of through that lens. Okay? So that's the way I think about my quote unquote, right? Low effort trading. But I also say there's no such thing as low effort trading, right? There's just not. And by that I mean it's just as easy as do XYZ, bro. If you just do XYZ, bro, it'll all be easy, right? Let me switch gears here a little bit. And again, this next part will probably sound somewhat contradictory in that I don't like social media drama. I've never liked it. Those people who knew me in my previous iterations in a public presence of social media drama knows that, well, Danny has a quick temper at times. And I don't like that about myself. And over time, I'm in my mid-50s now. I've just learned I just don't want anywhere near drama. I hesitate to bring up, and I say that to say I hesitate to bring up anything that anybody else said in the social media stream, because that's how drama starts, right? But I do like interaction, because that's how we all learn, is just through interacting with one another. I've got many friends in trading, friends in business. I've got friends, you know, just in my real life and day to day, and we can disagree, and that's cool, right? I think XYZ. Well, I don't think that's true. Okay, well, cool. No, you know, all right. You think that, and I don't. Whatever. You know, we don't turn it into some drama thing. I say all of the preceding to say, I'm not trying to start drama here. Okay. There was something in the Twitter stream, and this goes back a couple of months, and I wrote something up about it, and I'm just now getting to it. It was in the Twitter stream, and it was MSG Capital. Now, if you don't know MSG Capital on Twitter, I recommend him as a follower. He's an option market maker, I believe, in the grains. I apologize, MSG, if you're not in the grains, but I believe it's in the grains, and he's an option market maker, right? Highly recommend him as a follow. Seriously. And he seems like a really great guy, right? That's only what I know through the Twitter stream. We don't know each other, nothing like that. Now, another friend of mine, actually a business partner, actually sent me one of his tweets, and he sent it to me, and it was like LOL, right? And here's the tweet. And it was basically, and I like it. I thought it was sort of, I liked it once I understood it, but at first I didn't understand it. And it was MSG quoting somebody, and he said, as a professional market maker, please keep doing this. As your friend, don't do this, right? So what are we talking about here? Well, this guy, and I blanked out his name because, again, I don't want to get into drama. He said, option selling helps me generate $1,000 per week in cash flow. My sweet spot for selling options, I'm an options trader, by the way, so, my ears perk up. My sweet spot for selling options is delta 15 to 25, the 15 to 25 deltas. Let's talk about the benefits of selling option deltas to 15 to 25. Now, you got to understand, when my business partner sent this to me, it was like with an LOL. But I'm an options trader, right? My buddy isn't. My option, but I am, and I'm confused. Everybody reads everything through the lens of their experience. Like, I read things on Twitter and I think about the way I approach things, right? And I replied to my partner, I said, I don't know what MSG means by that. I love all of MSG's stuff, but I don't know what he means by that. I mean, I practically live in the 15 to 25 deltas. Sometimes in this environment, maybe a little bit lower deltas, but there have been time periods where I live in the 15 to 25 deltas. And I know guys that do that with the weeklies. And if, obviously with the weeklies, the gamma explosion is going to be massive. So what they do is they offset it. And my partner was just holding his hands up like, stop. Dan, stop. You're thinking about this way too deeply. Context. Look who he's talking about. Look at the way some of that is worded that he quoted. Dan, look at the name of the guy. Wealth coach? Dan, he's talking about red light, green light FURU guys. I mean, look at what he quoted, Dan. Just sell the 15 deltas. And then when I went back and I read it again, it made sense. It's like, oh, yeah, context, right? I see what he's saying. Because this goes back to something I said in my previous iteration when I helped mentor traders. And all we can do, I can't turn anybody into a trader, right? You have to turn yourself into a trader. But all I can do is like this, right? You can't see it. But it's all I can show you, all I can show people is what I'm thinking and a look over my shoulder. None of the trades we put out there are advice. It's a look over our shoulders to the way we approach things. So, right, that's the reason why we put out trades. But something I said in my previous iteration, sort of mentoring traders, and I'll say it again here now. There is no, okay, just highlight this in your brain. There is no red light, green light fix that is the solution to all of your problems in trading. There's not. There is no delta, choose the right delta, that is the fix to and is the solution to all of your problems in trading. I'm going to repeat that. There is no red light, green light fix that is the solution to all of your problems in trading. There is no choose the right delta fix that is the solution to all of your problems in options trading. There's not. And I think that's what MSG meant, right? That's probably what he was talking about. Is these guys was like, oh, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to trade the 15 to 20 deltas. And I'm going to pull in thousands of dollars per week. As a guy that has had time periods where I live in the 15 to 25 deltas, I'm not now. I've backed way up, right? I'm like in the 10 to 11s if I can find the IV and the IVR to do so. But as a guy that has lived in the 15 to 25 deltas, that is a quick way not just to busting your account to zero, but going into negative and owing lots of money. That's a quick way to destruction. And I think that's what MSG meant. Now let's finish this up with a little illustration. This that you see in front of you, right? I love poker. I love poker to death. I'm not claiming to be that great at poker. I'm not. But I love poker. Let's take a 70% hand. Got pocket rockets. Let's take things like table position and let's set that aside. Let's just make it very, very simple. Okay? You got pocket rockets. You got two aces. If you give me 100,000 bets, and I'm playing well, there's the other caveat. I'll bet you if you give me 100,000 pocket rockets, I'll bet you I'm going to win 70% of the time with pocket rockets. Like, do you have any idea, and I mean any idea at all, how many times I've started a starting hand with 2 aces and blew it? And then if you line it up as an iteration, right? For folks that are new, when we say iteration or iterative process, we mean many in a row, right? That's how you're going to get success in trading, is many in a row. So you line up an iteration of every time I've been dealt 2 aces. Do you have any idea how many times I got 2 aces, right? Then let's take the next time I got pocket rockets. And then let's take the next time that I got pocket rockets. Do you have any concept of how many times I've lost hands like that? If you look at it as an iteration in a row, it's unreal. I swear, if you line up the instances where I was dealt this, I know for a fact there's like 9 or 10 in a row where I've lost. That's why we say trading is iterative. That's why we said, if you give me 100,000 hands, if you give me 100,000 bets, I bet you with pocket rockets I'm going to win 70% of those. Okay, that's 100,000. Do you have any concept how many times, if you line up all the times I got 2 aces, I blew it like 9, 10 times in a row? That's why we say trading is iterative. So are options. Listen, any idiot can come along and learn how to execute a trade to sell the 15 deltas. Options have something a friend of mine in the quant business calls a inverse risk profile, and I like that term. In other words, absolutely, you can win. You can have a process that wins 90% of the time, and that's perfectly viable and a high win rate. I don't knock. I have in the past sometimes the way people perceive a high win rate, but I don't knock a high win rate strategy. I use high win rate strategies. Selling options is one of them. But it's an inverse risk profile, which means, yeah, you're going to win 2, 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 and then you're down 5. And you've got to learn to just suck it up, because that's the nature of the risk model. I trade options, right? And my wife and I, when we talk with people, people that'll know me in my real life, in my congregation, things like that, boy, it seems like there's long periods of time where Dan's hardly working trading at all. Does Dan still trade? And it's like, yeah, it's because I've got these low effort strategies, and then I'm running some options trades, and I'm running options trades with an inverse risk profile, and I'm keeping an eye on it. I am managing it. But with an inverse risk profile or a high hit rate, there's long periods of time where, boy, it seems like Dan's hardly working at all. And then there will be those times. My wife and I will explain that to people. It's like, where's Dan been at lately? I haven't seen Dan in a while. It's like, Dan's out doing this and out doing that and living the life of Riley, and all of a sudden Dan's just disappeared. And it's like, yeah, he got a position that wiggled on him, and it went too far on him, and now he's got to be busy managing it. He's got to work. My wife and I say, with options, it's when it's time. It's like, I'll look at her and it's like, sorry, dear, I can't. It's time to go to work. This happens once a year. And she's like, got it. I understand. So that's what we're talking about, right? Is that understand the risk model of the process you're using. If anyone tells you, well, just sell the 15 deltas and that's all you got to do, and it's this high a hit rate, and you'll always ignore them. Any idiot can come along and learn how to execute a trade to sell the 15 deltas. Right? Ignore them. Like I said, there's long periods of time where I'm just selling options. Everything's grand in Dan's world. Everything's going right. I'm getting pocket rockets. I'm getting 2 aces on the flop. My world is just ducky, let me tell you. You know what I mean? I can remember even the times that this has happened. It doesn't happen often, but because of an inverse risk profile, as my buddy calls them, and I've loved that term, so I started using it. There's times I got to go to work because it's that 10%. It's that 15% of the time, right? I remember, I want to say last year it was a position with Home Depot. And I want to say, God, when you look at ratio spreads, they're just so high probability. And I was just selling ratio spreads like mad, right? And I loved it. And then I got a ratio spread that went wiggly on me because it was on an individual asset. Rather than, what I mean by that is like Listen, see, you got to understand the nuances. This is what I'm talking about. If you just think, just do X, Y, Z, just do these deltas, just red light, green light, that's a quick way not just to bust your account back to zero. It's a quick way to go in the poorhouse. And like I said, I hate to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think that's what MSG was talking about, right? And I do. I recommend him for a follow. I think he's a fantastic follow. But you got to know the nuances. I've broken my rules before. Every trader does from time to time. I don't like trading. Okay, everything comes with a caveat. If I'm trading an individual name, right, like PLTR or MMM or any one of these, an individual asset, an actual company, I'll bet you I'm doing something like selling cash covered puts. The strategy matches. Why? Because individual asset names, like, those things go screwy, man. If you think 95% of the time it'll always stay in the 2 sigma range, good luck building a career on that. Good luck. You are going to be quickly introduced on single names to how often you'll see a 3 sigma move, a 6 sigma move, a 7 sigma move for a given periodicity. Now, if you look at something like SPY, right, the spiders, or the diamonds, right, or IWM, right? An ETF that is made up of a conglomerate that's something a little more, I call it sticky, or like oil, right? USO. Yeah, there's some volatility, especially in something like oil. But God in heaven, it's not one of these individual names that can just pull an 8 sigma overnight and you are hosed. Why am I bringing this up? It's a nuance you got to know. You have to know the nuances. I call them low effort, but it's low effort from my world, okay? If anybody comes to you and is like, just know the 10 to 15 deltas, that's all you got to know. The reason I brought that up about the difference between the spiders and something like PLTR, right, and different strategies you'll apply to an individual outright as opposed to an ETF that's like of an index or something is you got to know the nuances. You do. If anybody tells you it's just the deltas, ignore them. Trading isn't easy. Just because it's an inverse risk profile and you have a high hit rate doesn't mean you can't blow your account out and eventually owe your broker money. I am telling you. Listen, here's how I'll finish with this. In the asset management world, when you start to deal with clears, right? And let's say you're an asset manager and you have anything in the last few years that has to do with options, you're going to see them throw their hands up real fast. Nobody's interested in anything like that. We remember option sellers. All you got to do is know the direction of the trend, and then I'm going to sell options naked on something like the Widowmaker. Like, are you insane, right? Blow up to the tune of $300 million. So, by the way, there's a reason why, no cufflinks today, right? You guys remember that on option sellers? But what he was doing was insane. Anybody that comes up to you is like, the trend will tell you and the weather will tell you and just sell the 10 to 15 deltas. Run like mad. They are dangerous. Do I believe in selling options? Absolutely. Absolutely. But nuance. I guess that's what we're saying here. Listen, any idiot can come along and learn how to execute a trade to sell the 15 deltas. Okay? I guess that's what we're saying here is any idiot can sell the 15 deltas. Do you understand all of the nuances that when a trade wiggles against you of what you're going to do? Do you even have the capital to buy the underlying? There's a quick way to squash gamma, right? Just buy the underlying if the trend's going against you. Do you have a consistent way that you are going to implement that across an iteration of trades? It's nuance. Any idiot can sell the 15 deltas. Anybody that tells you that's all that's necessary, run. Do I sell the 15 delta? Well, not lately. Lately, I'm more interested if I can find the juice, if I can find the IVR of going to the 10, 11, and that's just because of the market environment. But have there been time periods where I'm very interested in selling the 15 deltas? Absolutely. I don't know. I just see these things. Hopefully MSG didn't take anything by this if he ever sees it. Hopefully nobody else did. I think it's one of those tweets where it's like it was a great tweet. I like the response. I like the humor in it. But I think it was good for new folks and aspiring traders to maybe learn from. There's a lot of nuance in everything. Okay? This is why we tell people, listen, if you're interested in trading, awesome. I think the industry needs more real traders. But it's very likely you won't make it. Okay? Because most people come into trading with wildly unrealistic expectations. But that is a talk for another time. For now, this has been what it's always been. That's all it is, right? It's just been our thoughts. No disrespect intended. It's just been our thoughts, not yours. For whatever the heck day it is. As always, stay safe, trade well, and remember that love doesn't cost to die.